Good morning, guys. Here we are, day 3 of our 5-day nutrition reset. Hopefully, you guys are getting into the groove of things. You're getting some new recipes under your belt, things like that. I've loved seeing what kind of recipes you guys are putting together. I think this one is a lot more fun this time around because there's so much more freedom in the things that you can be making instead of just kind of following the recipes that I suggest for you. So certainly if you are trying some of the recipe samples too, that's great as well. But I like to see how creative you can be and really engaging in using this balance technique to make sure that the meals that you are eating, the things that you're kind of throwing together last minute, still have this balance in mind, which is cool. Okay? So we've done 2 trainings so far already. This is going to be our 3rd. It is Wednesday, right? Yeah. This week I keep thinking it's Thursday today for some reason. But anyway. So today what I want to talk to you guys about is less about logistics and, building these routines and things, and really tackle one of the most challenging aspects of eating healthier, building exercise routines, and ultimately losing weight and reaching whatever goals you have in that department. Okay. So no, that's not about what diet you're choosing, if you're counting macros or eliminating carbs. It's not about eliminating sugars or, all of these other things, all of these diet related things that you could be doing. What it's about is your attitude toward the process of change, since the goals that we have are going to need quite a bit of change, right? Essentially, anytime you're losing weight or really making changes to your eating patterns, you have to think about how your lifestyle is going to shift, and the choices that you make and the places that you go and all of these other things may need to change, okay? And that is really uncomfortable, especially if up to this point you've been really happy with the way things are going and you're not really at a point where, you feel like, oh, I really need a change. Like if your goal is there, but you don't have that sort of underlying drive, it can make it really difficult to stick with a goal, right? So change is uncomfortable. We know that. It requires that we let go of a lot of old habits that no longer serve us. And those habits may have been comfort eating. It could have been, relaxing with a glass of wine after work, like all of these other things that inherently aren't necessarily bad, but may not be helping you reach the new goal that you have, right? And we have to embrace a new way of doing things if we're really going to make any progress when it comes to weight loss, right? So if you've ever started and stopped a diet, a big reason that you may have backed off was because it simply got hard, or you just lost interest because the process wasn't really that fun and exciting anymore. You didn't feel like doing the workouts anymore. It felt like hard work every single time. You didn't feel like cooking, or you felt a little sad that your old ways couldn't be the same way anymore in order for you to start seeing some progress, right? So yeah, you do lose interest in the process. And I think that's where a lot of people get hung up in this idea of, they know exactly what to do when it comes to how to eat. They know that they should be exercising and doing all of this other stuff, but because it's not fun and exciting and all of that, which yes, we can all deal with a little bit of, gray area and not have fun all the time. But when you're thinking about that consistently, it's really hard to stay focused on where is the silver lining here? Like, why am I doing this? Why do I feel like I'm torturing myself? Is it even worth it, right? So all of those thoughts are normal, okay? Let's just remember that. But if this mindset issue never gets addressed, you're never going to be able to push past this initial honeymoon phase, what we call it, in the dieting world of, when things become just uncomfortable and it's not really fun and exciting anymore, you do give up, right? So if you can't address this big issue, you can plan to keep on losing that same weight, gaining it back, keep starting, stopping, and eventually giving in altogether. I've worked with a lot of women in the past that have come to me like as a last resort, like their last shred of hope is being put into this final adventure, going into the 12-week program and all of that. And I can see that it's very exhausting for people. And I've been there before in the past as well. I have a history of losing weight myself, and I did go through a process of gaining and losing and gaining and losing because I hadn't really got this mindset issue under wraps yet, okay? So that is really why we focus a lot on these mindset shifts in the training in my 12-week program as well. So the members in the group are learning how to push past these I don't want to's, like this just feels uncomfortable, I don't know why I'm doing this, and really learn how to commit to themselves no matter how they're feeling emotionally. So, they follow through on things regardless of how stressed they're feeling during the day, no matter when they woke up in a bad mood, they've got issues going on inside the family, whatever it happens to be that is coming up. They're finding a way to be consistent with the efforts that they're putting in, because they know inherently that being inconsistent is going to stop their progress, and then they'll have something else to feel bad about too. It just kind of compounds on top of each other too. Now, most will tell you too that working through the mindset stuff is really the hardest part, and I can definitely agree with that. I think it's really easy to figure out what you need to be eating and be able to get in a good groove and deal with hunger cravings and things like that. And while that can be tricky at times, this mindset stuff is the hardest, because it's often that you need to be making mindset shifts on a daily basis, and sometimes moment to moment on some days as well, right? But it is also the most beneficial part of the process, because they understand too that they're not going through this part of the weight loss process alone. They understand that everyone deals with this idea of self-doubt and this procrastination, and they deal with failure and setbacks and low mental energy. They see me going through it. They see other people going through it in the program as well. And so it's sort of comforting to know that that circumstance isn't out of the ordinary. Essentially, this is not a special case that they're dealing with, like this level of not wanting to do something and not wanting to follow through and not being able to. This is something that we're all dealing with and all need to go through. And it's kind of comforting to know that discomfort is actually normal, and it really is just part of the process, right? So the mindset work that we do, it's really not a one and done thing, and everyone is sort of doing some different things depending on what exactly they're dealing with at any given time, and that can really, really change. But it is a challenge to face every day. It's sometimes in every decision that you're making. If you just wake up in a bad mood and you really have to fight yourself just to get up and make breakfast for yourself, and then to plan that lunch. It could be very easy to just stop at any point along the way, just on a daily basis, right? And one little thing can really compound into setting off the rest of the good habits that you're building along the way too. So mindset work is not a one and done thing. It's something that we're working on daily. I think this is why it is very challenging. You can write a meal plan for yourself for the entire week and be done, but mindset stuff is definitely more in the trenches day to day and all of that, okay? So that really requires a strong bond to your goal to begin with, and having that desire to get there. So all of those things we're really building upon daily, like I said, building on that in the program. But I want to offer just a few tips to help you start beginning to reframe your mindset in here, so that you can get started with something now. But just knowing that it's going to be kind of challenging to do this stuff if you don't have this backboard to move past these things. So a lot of times, especially in mental health, it can be really hard to get yourself out of a negative situation in a downward spiral when you can't see the forest through the trees, right? And so this is really where having the group aspect and having the support in a program can be really helpful for you. But so here are a few things that we overarching try to do, and then we're really teasing these things out on a regular basis here. So the first one is really getting a clear vision of what your goal is and all of the little details around it. So it's not enough to say, I just want to get back to my high school weight, or I want to lose 20 pounds. Like figuring out where that number is coming from, figuring out how emotionally you would like to feel. How would you like to feel about yourself at that weight? Were you there before? So were you in a better spot mentally, emotionally, and all of that when you were at a better weight? Thinking about health goals and things like that as well. So maybe this person in the future, once you have reached this goal, has like a perfect cholesterol profile, and that's something that's been eluding you or something that's really been on your mind. And really thinking about all the little details. So, thinking about clothes that are in your closet that may fit you, things that you would want to be doing, and really thinking about how this person, this ideal version of yourself, this future version of yourself, would be carrying their days out from there too. And that's really where you can start bridging the gap, right? So if you kind of have this idea of this thinner, healthier version of yourself going out for runs every day, maybe you've always wanted to run a marathon, or maybe you've always wanted to do like body weight training, or something physical like that. So what would you be doing with this ideal version of yourself? How would you be acting on a daily basis? And the clearer you can get on that, the easier it's going to be for you to follow through, because it's almost going to create a roadmap for you, right? So, if you want to be a marathon runner, so you have to start at least walking and then jogging and all of that, and that can start being the stepping stones to get you there. It creates almost a plan of action in itself for you. All right, so clear vision. We want to make sure we've got that. We've got lots of modules in our 12-week program about getting clearer and clearer and understanding more and more details on this as well. So that becomes really helpful. Another one is journaling across the board. So I think journaling is a really great exercise just for, managing emotions and thoughts and things like that, and being able to really identify, I guess is the right word. So there's just something about putting pen to paper and taking the thoughts that are in your head and trying to organize them on paper. It actually creates a little bit more order in your mind as well, and it helps you recognize patterns and things. So I think one of the most beneficial things that I have my ladies track is moments of procrastination, right? So just writing down what's happening when you're hesitating on making a healthy meal, or you need to go grocery shopping, but you just can't bring yourself to make a meal plan or even think about what you're going to be having. Finding other things to do instead of your workout, just saying like, oh, I've got one more thing to do and then I can do my workout, and it just becomes one thing after another after another. Procrastination is essentially the I don't want to's of whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. And so when you're creating these new routines for yourself and these new things to do, especially when it comes to exercise, I see this quite a bit. There's usually a pattern involved, and if you can start looking at the patterns of where your procrastination is coming up, really understanding why that's happening, like what is going on in the background that's keeping you from doing that, it helps you work through a lot of those things, okay? The third one is taking uncomfortable action, okay? So there are going to be days that you do not want to do something, right? And I met a trainer a while ago, personal trainer. She is very successful in what she does, trains a lot of women, very fit herself and all of this other stuff. And she said something that really surprised me, and it's actually stayed with me for a long time, is that there was never a day in the past, however long she'd been training or working out for herself, that she actually felt like doing that, okay? So when you're thinking about, oh, it must just be so easy for some people to get up and go work out and do these things, and they found something that they love, and why can't I find something that I love, and all of that. Just recognizing that it's not always about loving it in the moment. Sometimes it's about loving the result and how you're feeling, and the self-esteem boost that you get and the energy boost and all of that. It's not always going to be something that you're like, yes, we're going to go to the gym today. I don't think you're ever going to feel like that. And so if you can kind of just ease into this discomfort and say, okay, I know I'm going to feel better. I know this is going to be helping my goal. I don't really want to go do this thing right now, but I'm going to take action anyway. Those are the mindset shifts that make it easier along the way, okay? And then it becomes a matter of not wanting to disappoint yourself because you skipped a workout, or all of a sudden you stop doing your meal plan, or whatever else it is. Any action that needs to be taken, it becomes a matter of not wanting to break the chain, which is pretty cool, okay? And then the fourth bit of advice, which I think is required for any of this other stuff to happen, is really just being patient with yourself, right? So patient with the process, especially if you are looking to lose weight here. It's not going to happen overnight if the changes that you're making are going to become a part of your healthy lifestyle, okay? So I think one big thing that women get really tripped up with is this idea that's being put in our head from media and all of that, that you can just like lose 40 pounds in a month and then just be good from there, right? There's no such thing as that. There's, first of all, that's a very quick and unsafe level of weight loss to be happening, in my opinion. And if you didn't make the changes to keep you there, and you didn't learn anything about the way that your hunger is, and you're not learning about staying in a calorie deficit or in a calorie balance, if you're just trying to maintain, you're not learning how your emotions are tied into that. It's too short of a period of time for you to really learn how to maintain that, okay? And so patience with the program that you're following to begin with, and following these changes, is number one. But also being patient with yourself. You know, you may have really good days where it just seems like a no-brainer to follow through on all the things. You have high energy, and it feels really good, and then you're going to have the complete opposite, right? And you're going to make decisions that on your best days you would be like appalled that you made, right? That becomes a really big part of that guilt cycle that we feel as well, okay? And so if you can just be patient with yourself and understand that the changes that you're making are not going to happen overnight, you're going to slip up a little bit along the way, there is no goal of perfection anyway, then you can start to remove the guilt around some of the things that you consider bad habits for yourself, and just say, okay, you know what, I did go out and get a fried food meal. We went out for fast food this evening, and in the past you could have felt really guilty about that, but you know, in the grand scheme of things, one meal is not going to make or break anything. And if you can cut that pattern of guilt, it actually stops that perpetuation of more and more bad habits, because we have this it's really sort of uncanny, like we do one bad thing and feel guilty about it, and then the way we fix that is by doing more bad things and feeling more guilty with ourselves. And it's a really bad pattern, right? But it's a human pattern that we deal with. It's very normal. But if you can just kind of accept in time, you know, the habits that you have are going to be hard fought. It's not going to be something that you just start doing overnight. It's going to ease this process for you. It's going to make it a lot easier mentally, emotionally, and physically. You'll get there a little bit faster if you are having this grace with yourself as well. Okay? All right, so that's all for mindset for today. Obviously, this is something that you need to be working on continuously, but just kind of wanted to give you a snapshot of the overarching things that we have going on behind the scenes as we're working through the weight loss process. And in the 12-week program, we're really focusing on making sure that you've got a good basis for dealing with this by the end of 3 months, right? Again, not looking for perfection. We're not making sure that everything is completely in line. This is going to be something that's going to change throughout your life through different things that are going on anyway. So give yourself a little bit of grace around this. And if you feel like you have any comments on this, want to mention anything that you're struggling with mindset-wise, attitude-wise now, feel free. I know it's sort of more of a personal subject, so feel free to email me too if you've got anything you want to say about that. But otherwise, we will wrap up our training for today. We'll see you right back here tomorrow for our fourth and not final training. We've got 5 days of training going on. But you guys have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you soon.